¿Qué tal? Bienvenidos a otro episodio de Empoderate de Chicanos Por La Causa. We're so happy to be back, taping here at our new studio glass here at downtown Phoenix. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here in our new crib, and and we have a guest today, like always.
That we've been trying to get
Yes.
for a long. I think Lady Gaga or Taylor Swift would have been a lot quicker to book than Leslie.
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
Oh my god! So today we have Leslie Deras Fraijo, and she is our beloved CPLC marketing director. How are you doing, Leslie?
We have the marketing coordinator. I'm the marketing coordinator.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
Wait. Oh, I don't know why I
Do we
said
have to redo
director.
it? Do we have to redo it? Or no?
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Bill, she's taking your job. Bill is our marketing director. Leslie is our marketing coordinator.
Yes, she wanted to make sure to set the record straight.
Yes,
and
yes.
so we are here doing so. Thank you so much for coming. I know first of all, I know you're super busy, and that's I want to make sure that it's set that also on the record. That is because you've been busy, but also just happy to have you here and tell us your personal story.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited to be here and be the first guest of season 3 also. New season.
Yes. Yay. So to start off, can you tell us about your roots? How did growing up with your family shape your perspective on life?
Yeah, so I guess just a little bit about me. Like my family, my parents came here from Ciudad Obregón, Sonora. Shout out Sonora, Sonorenses.
Yaquis.
Yes, of course, go Yaquis. So they came here when they were about like 22, 23, which is already younger than I am right now. And just, I think always knowing that, like they came here to give me a better future. That's really just shaped my life and kind of like what I really base everything on, like knowing how much they gave back to me. So moved to California when they came here, and then they had me in California. So I was born there, lived there for 5 years. So I don't consider myself a California resident at all. Like I'm basically from Arizona.
That's right.
Yes, that's it. Desert only. But yeah, so I think my parents were definitely huge advocates for me, like my education, my career. They were always like on top of it, making sure that I had a good education. I think that's what they always told me. They were like, that's something that you can never get taken away from you. Is you have a degree, nobody can take that away from you. They can't go to your door and be like, give that back. Like, that's mine, you know? So growing up with that kind of support system and just also like their culture and how they are, like, ya sabes cómo son los mexicanos, like they're very much about family, community, tradition. And I think growing up with that, I live in Tolleson basically my whole life. And if you know, Tolleson is basically like a Hispanic community. Like everywhere you go, you will see people that look like you. And I think that's great. And just having that kind of atmosphere, it brings a lot of like rich culture to your life, and like that's how I felt growing up, and so I think I've kind of just used that to like my advantage and learned from like my peers and people around me, and just kind of use that to kind of like how I had my vision for my life and just basing it on community and tradition, and then just like giving back to my parents as well.
In terms of identity, was there ever a question to you? Like, where do you belong?
Yeah, for sure. I think knowing that, like, being Chicana, obviously you're born here, but then, like, when I have my cousins in Mexico, they wouldn't see me. They would be like, you have an accent, or they even tell me, they're like, you say like a lot. Why do you say like so much in every sentence? Yeah, they're like, you can tell you're not from there. Or like when I would go to Mexico, we would go to like the tienditas or something, and I'd order in Spanish, being like, oh, I'm from here. They're like, ¿de dónde eres? And I'm like, oh wow, you can just tell. And so I think I always had, there's always been that kind of, I saw the episode of Ni de aquí ni allá, and I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to for sure. But I think that even like my parents, they did a really good job at like only talking to me in Spanish. I mean, my mom doesn't even speak English, so she had no choice. But I mean, like my dad, he speaks English, he learned it. But still to me, like I only talk to him in Spanish. If I'm at home, I only speak in Spanish to them. And of course, not saying that not speaking Spanish isn't like, that doesn't make your identity, but at least for me, I think I've tried to hold on to that as much as I could. And like, I hang out with my mom all the time. She's my bestie. And she like, if I say a word wrong, she'll be like, that's not how you say it. I'm like, okay. But for sure, there's a sense of kind of knowing that my parents gave up so much to come here and that I didn't do that, I think I was given a lot of resources because of them. And so I think it creates this sense of like, sometimes a little bit guilt, like, oh, they did so much for me. Like, am I doing enough, or can I pay them back? And so I think that's definitely something that I battle with. How do you navigate
that guilt?
I think just knowing that I'm like trying my best, and I feel like what I'm doing is meaningful at least. And I think that's something that that I've seen a lot of your guys' guests talk about too. It's like knowing that you're serving the community. It really does make your work meaningful and just gives you a sense of purpose a little bit more. And yeah, maybe right now, like say I have my own career and maybe I'm not helping my parents directly, like I'm not serving them, but I'm serving people that are like them or that came to this country like them, or right now are looking for resources that they probably would have needed 20 years ago. And so I think that just knowing that and having that in the back of my head, like I'm doing the best I can for them and I'm taking advantage of those resources that they gave me and that life they gave me, instead of just like throwing it away. I like made something out of it.
So everything that you said, but I think she's been our favorite guest so far. She's been saying
she's only been your favorite.
But all the episodes she said she already watched and listened. Like, I remember and then this other episode.
I was taking notes.
I was like, she did her homework.
I did.
Thank you, Leslie. So, how many brothers and sisters did you grow up?
I have 2 siblings. I have an older brother. He's 4 years older than me. And then my sister, she's 2 years older than me. So we're all just 4 years, like it's a 4-year difference. So we grew up very close. And I think that kind of with that question you were saying of like, how do you deal with that guilt? I think that's a common feeling that a lot of parents, like Chicanos, have. And thankfully I've had them to kind of like talk about that, or we feel the same thing sometimes. And it's funny because even like my brother, he's a little harsher and like doesn't talk about his feelings that much. But when he was applying for scholarships, he's like, hey, can you read it? Like just proofread it. And I was like, okay, sure. And I was reading his like essay for the scholarship and he was talking like about that exact feeling. And I was like, wow, I didn't know you felt that. Like you never talk about it. But it's not that it's refreshing to see, but it's nice to know that like I'm not the only one that feels like that.
Yeah. There is certainly a strength in numbers and certainly you don't feel alone.
Yeah.
And you feel that others have gone through that as well. So what is it? What's your life like growing up in your house? You were the middle child, right?
Youngest.
Oh, the youngest,
yes,
sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So tell me what that was like.
Yeah, like it all makes sense now. I loved being the youngest child. Honestly, there's like that. What do they say? The youngest child is the spoiled one. I'm like, I kind of sense that.
It is because I'm the oldest. I know.
Yes, but I'm like, you know what? I deserved it. I claimed that title. I worked for it. No, I think that it's interesting thinking about like the dynamics, because for sure my brother's he is the oldest and he's a guy, right? So just by that, being like with my dad, like they would play sports together, they would talk about all this together, like there was that club. Yeah, for sure. And then my sister came along and she's only 2 years older than me, so she was like my best friend growing up, and me and her, my mom were a little trio, so it was fine. It wasn't anything bad. But then I think there was a time where she was in middle school and I was still in elementary school. So even though it's 2 years, when you're that young, that's a difference. Yeah. Like from 9 to 11, she was too cool for me. So I was like, oh, okay. So it was just like me and my mom all the time, and my mom and I. And I think that being the youngest kind of put a lot of pressure on me too, in the sense of like, my parents just... Okay, so in my family, I'm like the most responsible one. I'm the one that like, if we're going on a flight, I'm checking everybody in. I'm making sure that we all have our bags paid for, all this stuff.
I can see that. You're on top of it. It's like, okay, what else can we do?
Yeah, like even this past weekend, my mom and I went to California. And then yesterday, we flew back yesterday. So Sunday night, I checked in for our flight. And then yesterday, like 2 hours before the flight, she's like, hey, did you check in already? And I was like, well, duh. I was like, Mom, of course. You want to be in the A group, don't you? Like,
who do you think you're flying with?
Yes, yeah. And so it's funny because my parents will go on their own trips and they'll just call me and they'll be like, hey, Leslie, like we're going here. Like I'm basically a travel agent to them. I'm basically, yeah. I'm like, okay, what's your, like, I'm like, what's the budget looking like? What's whatever. Like I do everything for them. And I don't know if that's like a younger sibling activity or not, but I've been told it is. And I'm like, I can see it because I think it's also that expectation of like, I've been at home for so long too that they're just like, oh, Leslie's always going to be here. Like
she's going to take care of the
she's going to take care of us. Yeah.
You're
because
right.
my siblings definitely would do their own thing. Like my sister, she moved out, my brother went to college and I was still home, and it like left me to be like responsible. Yeah, and that's just how it's been.
So how was your how did you learn about Chicanos Por La Causa? How was that
I feel like living in Arizona, like I think you just know about Chicanos Por La Causa. Even if you don't know, you know. Like there's people that I've met, and when I tell them like, oh, I work for Chicanos Por La Causa, they're like, I think I've heard of it. Like it's just a name that you hear around. But when I was in probably like around middle school, like end of middle school, so about to get to high school and like getting more serious about college and stuff. My mom, she works at a cafeteria at a school. She's a manager, and she knew somebody that worked at Chicanos Por La Causa. She was like, you know, there's probably a lot of volunteer opportunities. She's like, and if you're trying to go to college for your application, you're going to need volunteer hours. So I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, I'm still in 8th grade though. I don't even think I could qualify to like volunteer or anything, but I was like, I'll keep that in mind. And so when I got to high school and I was like 16, I just filled out like a general volunteer application form just for like whenever events came up. And I kept getting emails for like volunteer opportunities, but they would be like, oh, you must be 18, whatever. So I was like, okay. I was like, at least I'm in their mailing list. But like, I know
they're replying.
Yeah, I'm like, I know what's going on. So then it was when I was like in college, because I started off at a community college. So I started at Estrella Mountain Community College, and my dad told me, he was like, he's like, have you been applying to scholarships, all that stuff? I'm like, yeah, I have. Like, it's hard, you know. I was like, I literally had like an Excel spreadsheet of like all the ones I applied to, the ones I didn't get, the ones that didn't even reply back or whatever. And I was like, Dad, I don't know, like whatever. He's like, you're looking to, and I don't know if this is good advice or not, but he was like, you're looking too like far out. He's like, try narrowing it down a little bit, maybe more local. And I was like, oh, that's true. So then that's where I saw the Chicanos Por La Causa scholarship posting. And I was like, oh, I like qualify for this. Let me apply. And so that's really when I learned more like about the organization. But it's actually funny though, because when I was in the mailing list, I just signed up like for the volunteer opportunities. And one year when I believe it was the Here We Stand campaign. I think it was that one. Yeah. Yes. It was like
50th anniversary.
Was it that one? Yeah. It was the one that they sent a postcard in the mail.
Yeah.
Was it that one? Yeah. So I got the postcard in the mail, and it was so pretty. It was like this woman and then just like a beautiful illustration behind her, and it was like this big. And I was like, that's so pretty. And I had a little corkboard in my room, which I still have. And I had it in my room, and I was like, that's so pretty. Like, I'm going to keep it. Yeah, I was like, I'm going to keep that. That's like literally the prettiest drawing I've ever seen. So I put it up there, and I completely forgot. Like, it was just in my room. To me, it was just my decoration up there. Like, I was like, that's just so cute. And so then when it's funny, when I started working for CPLC, and then Ben, my boss, showed me that like campaign, I was like, wait, I have that literally hung right there. I was like, I've had that for years, and I like completely forgot. But yeah, so when I applied for
a little sign from your future self.
Yes. Like, who would have known that? But so yeah, that's when I really found out about CPLC. Like, I knew about them, and I was in the mailing list, but it wasn't until I applied for the scholarship that I really like did my research. Yeah.
And on the career, how has it been for you to transition? There have been a few positions that you held.
So you've gone from a website designer to marketing creative administrator to now your current position.
Yeah. So it kind of goes back to like when I was in college, and I was like figuring out what I was going to officially major in. And I was like, I like to do so many things that it's hard to pick one. I was like, what can I do that's still broad enough that it gives me a sense of flexibility, but still narrows it down that I have at least a clear sense of where I want to go. And so that's why I did communication, because I was like, well, I can do marketing. I was like, PR's in the picture. I was like, there's a lot of different avenues I can take. So then when I first graduated from ASU, I actually was working just as a receptionist at a tutoring center. And then just like, it was one of those things where like somebody just put in a good word, and somebody was looking for a website designer. And then my boss was like, hey, Leslie, didn't you do communication? Doesn't that somehow tie in? And I was like, I think it does. Like, I was like, I can make it work. So then I did that for like 6 months. And I really liked that job. I liked it. It was just so cool, like the technical side of it. But it was just a little too desk job vibe for me. Like, to me, like getting up was just taking my walk around the building, and you know what I mean?
You were not interacting with anyone as much.
And I definitely loved the job though, and got some experience, and I still do like right now website edits. I'm like, shout out to that job, because it taught me how to do that. But I think that it was definitely a good move for me just to know, and it taught me that like, hey, maybe you don't like sitting at a desk 40 hours a week, you know? And then when I got to CPLC and I was doing the creative admin, I got to do the side of social media. And I was like, oh, I really like that. I enjoyed doing that as well. But then when the marketing coordinator opened up, I was like, you know, I love working with creative people. I think that like my team is so talented and they're also creative.
Are amazing.
And I was like, I don't know if I'm as creative, but I was like, I'm good at managing them a little bit. So I think I found a way to,
you manage your parents' flights.
Exactly.
And so why not manage also a team
like the
of
projects.
marketers?
So I think it's definitely still like a work in progress of just figuring out what I like and don't like. And so I think that's something too that if I could go back in time and tell myself, I'd be like, Leslie, like you should don't just be like so kind of stuck on your ways of like, oh, I just want to do communication, because like maybe you could try something else that you would have also enjoyed and just tested out different fields and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's advice that you would give to like yourself if you were to go back in time.
Yeah.
But I guess like for someone that's like looking to break into the marketing communications field, what would you say would be the first steps like that you would recommend?
Yeah, I think definitely something that worked for me too was just having like a mentor. And even like when I was in college, I had a mentor. Her name was Adriana. Shout out to Adriana because she helped me so much.
Adriana.
And she, even though she wasn't like a communications person, she helped me so much in kind of like knowing what I wanted to do. Because I think when I first started college, I was like, I'm going to be a lawyer. Really? Yeah, I was like, and that has to do with yes, exactly.
With the pink suit, legally blonde.
Like the She-Hulk. Isn't she a lawyer? The She-Hulk. I don't know if you guys know who she is, but it's like a whole Disney show. Okay, never mind. It's a Disney Plus show. But yeah, I was like, I'm going to be a lawyer, and I was like, that kind of goes into like shooting for the stars, and my dad being like, well, you're good at arguing with me, so maybe he's like, maybe you can argue with anybody. So I think I deep down knew that I like didn't really want to do that, but I was like, oh, they say it pays the bills, and you know what I mean. So I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. So when I first went to college, that's what I was like, I'm gonna do. And then like a semester in, I was like, oh no, I don't think I want to do that. I don't want to go to law school. Like just me. I was like, I don't think I want to do that. So then I was like, oh, I want to do journalism actually. So then I changed it to my major to journalism. And then I took my first journalism class and I was like, oh no, I can't take this. Like so much rejection, so much people being like, can I have an interview? People being like, no. I'm like, okay, sorry. And I think, but the whole time I had that mentor, Adriana, and I would tell her about all this. And I was telling her like, I can't find what I want to do. Like, I don't know what I want to do. And she kind of helped me be like, she's like, what do you like to do? And I was like, well, I like to talk. I was like, I like to listen. I like to write, I like that. So she kind of led me to like, communications is a great field. And she gave me such good advice. So I think definitely finding somebody that's like understanding and kind of has been there, because she's a little bit older than me too. So she has gone through similar situations, because I feel like being lost in your career is so common. But I think that's one of those things too that like you tell your parents about, but they just don't understand it. But then when it comes from somebody else, it sounds better. So I'm like, yeah, that's true. I'm like, hey, John is right. You guys don't know what you're talking about. So I think definitely finding like a mentor, somebody that you can count on to just like not even just career wise, but just like in school or like professional wise. And then definitely I think seeking out opportunities like internships or even like volunteer opportunities, because I think too that when I got my scholarship, I had to do volunteer hours as a requirement, and doing those volunteer hours is actually what made me be like, oh, I really like CPLC, like the culture and like the job, because when I was volunteering, I wasn't doing anything marketing related. I was just like picking up boxes or putting stocking stuffings together, but just being around that like ambiance, that's what I was like, oh, I really like this environment. So I think just trying new things that maybe you wouldn't typically do, it can just open a lot of doors or just teach you things that you probably wouldn't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you do after when you're not working? And besides traveling and checking in for your parents,
being their travel agent.
So I'm like, what am I going to do today? Probably going to go watch a movie. I love going to the movies. I love going to the movies.
What's your favorite this year?
Okay, it just came out, so maybe that's
I remember last year Oppenheimer and Barbie.
It was Barbie. Yes.
Barbie's the best.
Okay, you know what? This is kind of similar. Wicked. Wicked is so good. Yes.
And is Wicked. And what's the other one that was competing with Wicked?
Gladiator?
Gladiator.
Yeah, I haven't seen Gladiator yet, but Wicked came out a week ago and I already saw it twice. So that's
Really?
so good.
It's good?
You guys need to go watch that one. So I love going to the movies. I love doing exercise. I love Zumba. I really, really like Zumba.
Really?
Yeah. And just running. I think running like exercise. And then I also going back to the Señor Foodie episode.
Thank you.
Another episode reference.
I really like trying out new food places in Phoenix. I feel like it's become such a foodie destination.
You're right.
And I think like if whatever you're like craving, you'll find such a niche little spot that's trendy and cute. So I have a lot of recommendations if you guys are looking for any. But
Actually,
but yeah.
yes.
Señora Leslie.
Señora Leslie.
No, I was like, I love when he came on your episode because I already followed him, and then I was like, oh, it's like so nice to see a face that you like know, you know.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I love it. Shout out Señor
Señor
Foodie.
Foodie, yes, come back. Yeah, it was a really awesome episode
Yeah.
too. So then your favorite movie so far is Wicked
This year, yeah.
And then so what's then your recommendations for a restaurant over the holidays?
Ooh. I need like what's the cuisine? Is it like Asian? Is it, you know what I mean? I think okay, so but because it was like colder, I'm like thinking ramen right now. There's this place in Chandler. Actually, we went there. We went to the lokotion over here, the Jinya Ramen.
Oh,
Yeah, the one for Veronica's birthday.
Yes, it was Veronica's birthday.
Yeah,
Shout out
that's
to
Veronica's
Veronica. I love Jinya
Me
Ramen.
too. I always wanted to come back, and I was telling my daughters too. I was like, "This is the place that we can. It's so good.
Yeah,
we need to come back."
Yeah, that
was a
place
good
is
one.
really, really good. They're in downtown. Have you guys been to Wren and Wolf? Or you guys have been there? Yes,
That's
that
a
place
good
is
one.
really,
Your
really
dream.
And then they
good.
have the speakeasy behind
Oh,
the
that's
trophy
right.
room.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good one too.
I'm trying to think of like a cuisine or like a dessert place. Oh, there's this place in Arcadia. Oh my gosh, I forgot what it's called. But they have the best chocolate croissant. It is so, so good. So if you want like a pastry, like a French pastry,
the Arcadia.
Yeah, Arcadia.
Cool. And running, where do you recommend? Because Veronica once told me about the steps in the West Side. Oh my God.
Yes, the Verado steps.
I did it once. I couldn't. I could barely make it, and then I couldn't get up. I could not get up for 2
I just
days.
moved to the West Side, so I have yet to.
That is a challenge.
Yes.
You need to conquer that.
Yes, we need to make it happen. They're so much fun, and especially like right now is like perfect to do it outdoors.
Yeah, it's been really
because in the
nice.
summer I feel like you can't run.
Nope.
I mean, you can do it early in the morning because then in the afternoon,
Really early,
yeah,
though.
yeah, really, really early. Because then in the afternoon it already gets too hot. But yeah, I feel like the Estrella Mountain, they have like really easy hikes too, or trails. But the Verado steps are definitely, it's even if you just want to go take the photo, like it just looks really cool how the steps are set up.
Like
It's like flex on Instagram. Like, look where I'm at.
Yeah, they don't have to know you didn't do them, but you just take the photo.
You just drive up, take the picture, and then drive up.
Yeah, but definitely I think the website in Buckeye in general too, they have a lot of good hiking trails.
Yeah.
That I think.
So
yeah.
you like hiking, running. You also do Zumba.
Mm-hmm.
What type of Zumba do you do?
So that's a good question because my instructor always says when she's doing a dance that we can't do, she's like, oh, este es Zen. So I'm like, is there a difference between Zen and Zumba? So I'm not sure. I have to ask her. I'll let you guys know my answer when I get back to her.
First time I hear about it.
Yeah, she says, because like even her username, it's like a Zumba Zen. So I'm like, is it a different kind of dance?
That's a good question. I don't know.
But yeah, I love going to Zumba. She just, my instructor is great, and she like, it's so easy to like get so caught up in something that you don't have time for yourself, or you like don't take a moment to just step back and be like, okay, let me do something that's like fun for me. And so that's why I like Zumba so much, because it's just like you're just having a dance party with a bunch of people in a room, and it's like you're still following the steps and everything, but you're getting a workout in, and you're really just like you're just distracted for like an hour of like that day. You know that you're just gonna dedicate that to Zumba. At least that's to
And
me.
then you feel good after.
Yeah, you feel good after. You feel accomplished. You can take the selfie in the mirror. You know, like you're done. Like, yeah.
Why do you think that moving your body like is so important to you? Like Zumba, hiking.
Yeah. I think that, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying. I think that because sometimes And I think it's just normal for you to get so caught up in what you're doing, even whether it's work or just personal life. I saw this quote that it was like, you just need to stop and smell the roses. And I was like, that's so true. That is so true. So like, you're just go.
It's so basic, but you overlook.
Yeah. And so I think that just even like just 1 hour a day, knowing that you're going to have that to yourself and like, you're not going to worry about anything else, that just does wonder for like mental health and just even physical health too. Obviously, there's been like times that I get so busy that like I don't work out for like 2 weeks. And then afterwards I'm like, oh wow, I'm like, I could feel that. I'm like, I need to get back to it, you know? And it's just like a reminder to yourself.
Do you feel like it has improved your mental health, or like how do you notice it?
Yeah, for sure. So typically like what I like to do too is I typically take my dogs on a walk like every day, and I'm like not on my phone or anything. I just have music in, but it's like, it feels nice to just, this is going to sound cliche, but just like be connected with nature. Like I just hear the trees and the grass. Yes. Like I just hear the trees and the birds, and I'm like, wow, this is so beautiful. It really is just a time for yourself. And I think even just knowing that that's what you're doing and like dedicating time to take care of yourself, it just proves to you like, you know, hey, I got me, and I'm gonna take care of myself. And
I think as a little kid, I thought that was very cliche. Like, okay, like, you know, being mindful and touching nature or being out in nature.
Yeah.
Like, okay, whatever, just be happy.
Yeah, but, yeah, for sure.
But then you get older and you really start. I feel like as I'm getting older, I have more gratitude for those type of things, mindfulness and being out in nature.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when you're older and it's harder to make time for it. That when you're able to like, it's just like, it's kind of discipline too. Like, you know that you're setting that time aside, and it's like knowing that you have to schedule you have to stick to it. Yeah, but then when you do, you just feel accomplished.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think,
and then walking with your bare feet on the grass.
Oh yeah, what is that called? Grounding? Is that
grounding. Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
I remember Stephanie used to do that, and she used to talk about that.
When I take my dogs out for walks, I always like wearing my Crocs, and then I just take out my Crocs, my pink Crocs, and then I ground.
Yeah.
So what are you doing for the holidays? What do you think it stands out from other friends that maybe that may not have the similar background that you do, that they found different?
I mean, I know for sure what we try to do in our family. It's like, I think there's like 20 of us having the dinner together, and my brother makes it a point. He makes not a Google Notes, like a memo on the notes app that he shares. And he's like, everybody sign up for a dish. Like everybody has to bring something, even the little kids. Like we make them. We're like, this is teamwork.
What are they making? Mud cakes?
They're making like pies. Yeah,
that's what I would make when I was little.
Yeah,
sugar cookies.
Yeah,
and decorate them.
That's what they're doing. They're making it out. I saw their list today. Actually, I was like, what am I making? And there's like, I'm like, all the pies are taken already and all that. But I think it just goes back to also like everybody feeling included. And just feeling like you did something too. Because I think if like 1 or 2 people don't bring something and everybody's complimenting everybody else's dish, it's like, oh, I should have made something, or you know, like that. Right. So we try to do that, and then try to make different foods too. Like we stick to the like the turkey, the ham, all the like the essentials. But then when there's 20 people, it's, you know, those dishes are already taken so early on. So like me, I'm making this pasta, which I don't know if you guys know the Gigi Hadid, the vodka pasta. I'm making that one because
you make vodka pasta.
Yeah, that's a secret ingredient. It's just a little bit.
Sounds like a fun ingredient.
It's just a little bit, but that's what I'm making. So we try to make dishes that are like a little bit, maybe not traditional to Thanksgiving, but just so people can try different things too. And then, it's just a lot of us, 20 people. So we don't have one long table. We have like 4 just on the side, like set like that.
Any traditions for New Year's? Like when you set your new resolutions? Or I know my family also starts, on my mom's side, they get their luggage and they go around the neighborhood.
Yes.
Like they are committed. They're definitely going to do that for sure, because that's going to help them.
Yeah.
Maybe get ahead on travel.
Yeah, my family does the same thing, the suitcase. And then I have some cousins that are single and they're looking, so they do the under the table. They get under the table at midnight. Or there's the other one, the grapes. They also eat grapes. But those are mostly it. We typically, what my family likes to do for New Year's is, my mom, she's one of 8. So we typically try to do New Year's, like every year we rotate where we're going. So like every sibling gets a like chance to host. So like I guess we did it last year. So like in 6 years or 8 years, it'll be our turn again. But we like doing that so everybody has a chance to go like everywhere, and just for like family that can't go, then
so they
they'll
actually
host.
Want to host?
Yeah, they like to host.
I'd be like, oh no, I don't host this year.
Yeah,
I don't like hosting. It's like, that means preparing everything.
Yeah, but yeah, I think we do like those traditions. Yeah, the luggage one for sure though is one that everybody participates in, because who doesn't like to travel?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? So, what's ahead for you as you're thinking, professionally or personally? Any changes that you're thinking of implementing 2025 or anything down the road?
Yeah, I think I have a lot. I mean, like my vision board in my head. I think for sure, like professionally, I've always said this. I'm like, I love like working in the public sector and like that. So I definitely see myself staying like in this field and definitely gaining more experience. And once I do, like, maybe branching out or like moving up. But I think that I really would be like very shocked at myself if I'm like, oh, I'm gonna leave the public sector, because I love it so much that that's what I have like just set for myself. For my own goals though, I'm like, I want to buy a house very badly next year. Shout out to Fatima, new homeowner. But yes, I think you guys are like talking about hosting, and maybe that's because you already have your homes too, so it's easier. It's like easier said than done. But I'm like, I want to host. I'm like, I just want to host like a dinner or something. But yeah, I feel like those are my goals for sure. And then also learning a new language. I feel like I don't know why. I really want to learn Portuguese.
That would be great. It would cover most of 99% of Latin America.
Yeah.
Because you already speak English and Spanish.
Yes. And so
Aunque no hablaste nada hoy.
What sparked that light bulb in your head? Like, oh, I want to learn Portuguese.
I forgot what movie I was watching, and there was scenes that were Portuguese, and I was like, wait, I kind of understand like a lot of it. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't think it would be too difficult for me to jump into it. Like obviously it would, because it's a whole new language, but I feel like because it's very similar to Spanish, it's easy. It'll be easier to get into that.
Yeah.
And then also my boyfriend, he's trying to learn Spanish. So I'm like, it would be good to learn a language together. So we're supporting each other.
Is he Latino?
Compete in Duolingo?
Yeah.
It's more
each other
stars.
competitions. He's Latino, but he doesn't speak Spanish.
Okay.
So, but he tries.
So you're teaching him now. Or Duolingo is...
Yeah. Duolingo, yeah. And then that's what he was saying too. He wants to enroll in a class, because obviously I can teach him. I can only teach him so much. Like it's different. So he wants to enroll in a class. And then I was like, I feel like taking a class would be like committing.
More structured too.
Yeah.
Broken down.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm like, that's what I would definitely want to try. I don't know when I would use a Portuguese though, but I'm like just knowing it though.
Well,
I'm like, just
that gives you the opportunity to then schedule a flight.
That's true.
To Brazil.
That's true. And I could speak to the locals.
Portugal.
Yeah.
Lisbon.
Yes.
Direct flights from Phoenix. I'm just saying.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, you've been, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I was last month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Or maybe watching some Portuguese soap operas.
That's
and
true.
English subtitles.
That always
At least that's how my mom learned English. So maybe it'll be effective in that way too.
Yeah. No, that's how my dad, that's how he learned English. Because when he came to the United States, he didn't know any English at all. And he would watch shows with subtitles, and that's just how he learned. And now he's like, definitely has like a little accent, but he is fluent in it 100%. So
yeah, I became my mom's like IT
Translator.
person.
Yeah.
For like her TV, because she was like, I need captions, and I'm like, I'm working on it. I'd be like, where's CC?
Yeah. It's definitely a powerful tool. Yeah.
It helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so yeah, we've already talked about looking ahead, your interests. Lastly, so you've dedicated much of your career to like being in or you want to dedicate also you've dedicated your career to the community, or in the community sector, the public sector, and you want to continue. Why do you think, or let me see, what does community mean to you?
Yeah, I think a lot of what community means to me, it's like being able to help people around you that you don't owe anything to. I think it's so hard. I think it's so easy to be like, have this mindset of like, well, that doesn't affect me, so it's above me at that point. But I think that being able to recognize that you yourself might have resources or just have knowledge that other people don't have, that's just so empowering. I mean, like even when we have events going on, CPLC, or like I used to volunteer at the St. Mary's Food Bank a lot, so I had like their distribution schedule. Like I had their flyers. I had it in my head ingrained. Every time we had like a turkey drive or something like that, I would like post it on the Nextdoor app and be like, hey guys, if ever anybody needs, it costs nothing to do that. And I think that sometimes even like at work, when people come to the door asking for help, and like I'm like, it has nothing to do with me, but I'm like, I know where to direct them to. I'm like, what does it cost to tell them, hey, I don't know, but let me walk you over there. Let me So I think that to me, it's like just being able to help people that you can help out, even just by giving them advice or just like leading them to a different source, I think that does like goes a long way. And so I think that,
and it makes a big difference. Even if you don't have that connection with those individuals again, they remember the gesture. And then they sometimes also duplicate it, but it's certainly in a moment of need, and sometimes maybe many times desperate need.
Yes, for sure.
There is just somebody that can support them, as simple as that. You're looking at them, you're serving them, and they feel seen. And that's really important.
Yes, I know. I had a situation maybe a month ago where somebody was looking for an office at work, and I was like, she was really frustrated because she just wasn't getting the right directions. It was hot outside, you know. It was like, and so I was like the first one there, and she was just standing outside, and I was like, hey, what can I help you with? And she told me, and I was like, oh yeah, don't worry, like I'll walk you over there, whatever. And so the walk is like 3 minutes, so in 3 minutes I can get a lot of words in. So we were just talking and back and forth, and then it was all in Spanish. She's like, muchas gracias, mija, que Dios te bendiga, and she reminded me of my grandma so much, and I was like, yes, I was like, it means so much. It means so much coming from some. And I was like literally looking at her, and I was like, that's my grandma. I was like, Mama Lidia, is that you? Like I literally was like, and it just feels so good. And I think when you have situations like that too, it just motivates you to like keep helping. And because it like, you know, like I said, it cost me nothing to do that, yet it like meant so much to her. And so I was like, that's what it's about.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what it is.
Paying it forward and then planting that seed in that other person for them to pay it forward. And yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Kind of like when you like go to Starbucks and someone pays for your drink and you're like, oh, now I need to pay for someone's drink. And then that chain, it's like, oh, humanity is so beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
It is. Humanity is so beautiful.
Oh, and then one more thing. So besides moving your body, you also like to read a lot of books. What book recommendation would you like to leave us with?
Ooh, okay. I actually love this question so much. Thank you for asking that, because if I could tell like the whole world, this is the only book you need to read in your life, I think especially to women, it's called 1,000 Splendid Suns. It is so, I will buy it for you all. Like I love that book so much. It has such a deep message, especially for women. Just to give you like a premise, it's about 2 women that live in Afghanistan during the Taliban rule. And so obviously they don't have the rights that we have here, and so it's just all about that and them navigating it. And like, I'm not even kidding you, when I read that book for like a month straight afterwards, I would wake up and be like, oh wow, I was so grateful to be able to like wake up, leave my house, do what I want at the end of the, you know, obviously I'm like, Dad, this is where I'm going, but like, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, just knowing that I was like free in a sense, you know. And so that's definitely the book that I recommend to everybody.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
I love that. Many years ago, I read one that had obviously not the same message, but it talked about free will. And I think it's something to do with 2 stars, whatever. But the point was for you to realize that you have a lot more freedom, and just with free will, that seems like simple, that you can choose, you can make decisions on your own. That's obviously growing up or as an adult, and be independent of those decisions and with those obviously responsibilities. But it's so eye-opening to realize, oh my goodness, yes, you're right. There are other people in other parts of the world that do not have that. Whether it would be for loss or for economic situations, there is that we are fortunate to be in the situation we are right now.
Yeah, for sure. No, yeah, that book is beautiful. That was the first book that made me actually like cry like that. And I was like in my bed, and my dog was just looking at me like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "It's okay, I promise." It's like they're happy tears, you know. Like,
what's your dog's name?
Ron.
Hello, Ron.
Ron and Dirty. Shout out to Ron and Dirty. I have 2 doggies, but yeah. But yeah, so. I forgot what we were talking about. I was thinking about my dogs now.
Your book.
Oh, yes, the book. Yeah. That's my recommendation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if do you guys have any for me? Because I take them seriously.
I have a stack like this that I have started so many different ones. So,
I think my favorite one, it's not actually a chapter book. It's my favorite children's book, The Giving Tree.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, that's a beautiful.
That one's my favorite book.
Yeah.
The Stone Soup. To me, for kids.
Oh, yeah.
That
it's the whole community comes together. That one's also very cute story.
For everybody.
My mom was actually reading the giving tree to me when she actually went into labor with my little brother.
Aww.
So that's why it's also very special in my heart, because it's the day that my little brother. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cute.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Leslie, it's been so much fun having you here. Thank you.
Thank you so
I hope
Thank you
come
guys.
back.
Yes.
We covered a lot of good questions
Yes.
too. And yeah, I had a lot of fun.
So thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm like, eres una luz que traes tanta alegría. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much
Thank you guys for
being
having me. I
here.
had a lot of fun. And it's an honor to be the first guest for season 3.
Yay! All right. With that said, for this episode, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.